Let's build with these blocks today. Today we will be building Amsterdam Canal houses, suggested by my wonderful Dutch friend Amaze Gaming, who's also one of my very first YouTube friends who I met on my first Minecraft SMP. Also my first time building with resin blocks. They make such a funny sound, guys. It's like weirdly squishy. Thank you to Bray Pimmy on TikTok for the suggestion. And now I'm trying to work out a gradient, which I really wanted to try pumpkins and some like obscure blocks because I know a lot of builders, like my friend Ash, also are very good at using pumpkins, but I somehow just couldn't quite fit in that tone of orange into how bright the resin blocks are. So ultimately, after settling on oak trapdoors for the windows, I decided to get rid of the pumpkins, and our gradient is now just orange concrete instead from the resin blocks, and then transitioning into orange wool and orange concrete powder. This build was definitely a challenge for me because I usually never build these tall city buildings, and doing so is like honestly pretty repetitive for me with how flat some of these city walls can be. But using bright, vibrant colors like this orange made it a lot more fun, and having some variations with the windows and different gradients just made it a lot better. So after a few layers of windows approaching our peak here, I made it a little bit pointy at the top, and now since I moved the windows one block back, I can add these details with the trap doors, which I'm going for pale to match the reference image and to stand out against the orange a bit more. Some nice tall arches on the bottom here and a little walkout balcony. Now onto the roof, we're using deep slate to stand out against everything, and a bit of acacia wood for a trim at the top. And now there's this quirky little detail that I had no clue what it was, so I'm making it with trapdoors here. As you can see, it's this in the reference image, but my friend Amaze ended up explaining it to me, and we'll be touching on it later in the video. Anyways, moving on to the second building, I set it one block in, starting with some stone brick arches and with warped wood. And the main body of the building is going to be made out of brick, so also kind of a warmer tone, a lot less saturated and more like of an industrial type of building with these big windows, almost like floor to ceiling windows here. Also set one block in so that we can detail them up later. Guys, I know it's giving 2014 Hunger Games map looking city right now, but you gotta trust the process, okay? You guys know me already. You gotta trust the process. At the top of the building, there's this really ornate sandstone looking detail that almost looks like straight out of an art museum. So I added these diamond blocks to shine and stand out in the middle. They definitely didn't use diamond blocks in real life, but I think it ended up looking pretty good. And then on the side of this building, there's like a random pillar, or it might be a chimney from the other house, probably a chimney. So finishing up the roof there. Now it's time to make this not ugly. Starting with the bottom stone support, since the brick sticks out, we're gonna add some upside down stairs and slabs, as well as an actual door here. Now for all of these intersecting joints, I'm adding polished granite and then texturing up the rest with granite. For my next color, I decided to go with packed mud and then packed mud bricks as well, since it's a nice transition to a different shade of brown, giving this building much more depth and a rundown vibe. You can see just how much texturing alone has changed the front face of our building compared to just regular brick all across. Next, we're using the trapdoors once again for these window details. Tried scaffolding, but honestly this doesn't look great on a bigger scale, but I remembered this trick with fences and fence gates that I was using in my survival world, and I decided to replicate that here with the trapdoor patterns down the middle, and things are now looking so much better than before. Moving on to the third and last building here, this is probably my favorite by far, and I definitely spend the longest on it. We're going with stone brick foundation again, and then the bulk of this building is made of mangrove wood, so we're doing planks all across. And for windows, we're using the wax weathered trap doors, and I made it just a bit bigger with a half slab here to make it a bigger window than that bottom one, but not a full 1x2 window. Kind of something new I tried there. Also because all of this building's windows are also round and arched at the top, so there's no way to really do that in such a small space. So I thought 1x2.5 is better than like a rectangular 1x2. So you'll see me doing one of the bigger arched windows here. But one of the biggest challenges I faced was using white as a trim for these windows. The bottom window was easy enough using trapdoors, but I realized that in the reference image, not all of them had such a straightforward trim like that. I tried using full trapdoors on the sides of all these, but then I remembered signs, the ultimate detailing tool. I was so excited I went over to my other buildings to try and incorporate it, but I ended up just keeping it the same. Signs let that bit of mangrove still peek through in the back while adding that pop of color using the pale. And in most cases, people use it to give like a rundown vibe. If you use a spruce wall, you have spruce signs to make it look jagged and a little bit rough and put together. I haven't actually seen anyone use it as a highlight like this, so I really enjoyed popping this on, and it fit the reference pretty well. Finally, reaching the roof here, we have a bit of a slant once again, peaking at kind of like a weird rectangle at the top, using a sandstone trim to match the building next to it. And these were some wonky windows for sure. These are completely oval in the reference, but I did my best to kind of just put together something with slabs and trapdoors, and I think it came out pretty well. It gives a nice pop of depth to the wall, and there's also a mini version at the very tippity top there. Now I'm adding in some bigger chunks of pale oak highlight because I realized not all of them should be the same size, and then using mangrove as a trim across a few of these layers here. One of my favorite things to do with bigger flat walls is to create these leading lines using either a highlighted block or this time using something that blends in a little more to draw the eye but not be standing out too much. At the very top, I'm adding a bit of sandstone that sticks out, and that pretty much finishes up the build. I tried to texture it up as well, but decided there's already enough going on with all the pale oak. And with these three really cool building facades, I decided to create an environment for them as well. A nice little spruce wood boardwalk with a mossy stone canal. And yes, guys, I didn't finish the backs of these buildings because ideally these would be built into a city and there'd be like other building faces on the other side. And as promised, here's a fun detail that amazed my Dutch friend put me on here. So he said that a lot of the buildings in Amsterdam are actually slanted because of the ground they're built on. So they have a pulley system to help move furniture like a couch or these different storage barrels up when you're moving houses. So that brings us to the end of day 7 of my build a day challenge. My build schematics are available for download on my Patreon, linked in my bio. Comment what I should build next.